You alright guys, how's it going? It is David Claydon from KZR Racing once again, and welcome back to my F1 23 My Team Career Mode for round number 5 today at the Miami Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the last episode, do feel free to check out my channel. The playlists will be there along with all the other episodes. So, going into this episode, not a lot to do at the moment. We have got a few bits and pieces, but in regards to last episodes, if you missed it, spoiler alert, feel free to go and check it out. But spoiler alert, we did successfully manage to score points again with a very risky strategy, starting on the hard tyres and then going to the mediums later on. But it did manage to work out quite well for us in the long run. So we managed to get P7 just about. We almost got overtaken by Carlos Sainz at the end, who was fighting back through the field after pretty bad pit stop of his own, I believe. But we still managed to get through. We still managed to get through and score the points. We're going through all the bits and pieces here, and as you saw, we just done some more driver reaction training. But as you can see, our chassis monocoque structure failed on the initial attempt, so we've got to purchase this again, and that's not going to come in until Emilia Romagna. And looking at the comparison as well, we are by far and away the worst chassis on the grid, so we're going to have to start looking more into the chassis side as opposed to the aerodynamic side. Which, if we look at, I'll just go down to have a look at the rear wing. As you can see, we're pretty high up on the aerodynamic front, so we're okay on there. And then powertrain as well. Just have a look at one of these other ones for the powertrain, which we can't do at the moment. But I'm pretty certain we're still near the bottom of the powertrain. So we're going to have to think a little bit more into the facilities for the chassis to try and get that up to scratch. I am thinking about the build time upgrade, just so we can get a shorter build time as well, all the fabrication, but that requires $1 million more than the build time. So I'm going to have a think about it. I'm not going to do anything I'm not going to do anything here at the moment, but we have got to some few bits and pieces to think about with how we want to proceed with this car. But as we enter the end of our Q1 flying lap, this is our one and only flying lap in Q1. I did have a pretty general good feeling in the car throughout practice when I had a go. I still struggled in set to 1 like I did on F1 22. There was a little bit of a struggle through there. But as we come across the line, and it's only going to be P19. I don't know what happened there. That was probably as best as I could have felt, but yeah, we're out in Q1. We only just qualified ahead of our teammate Drugovich by about a tenth of a second, so I don't know where all our pace went in that qualifying lap, but yeah, it was strange. It was strange. I thought I was a lot better than that, but we can't do nothing about that now, so we're just going to have to knuckle down and go to the grid for the Grand Prix.
Florida is no stranger to world-class sport, and as of 2022, the USA's Sunshine State is now on the F1 calendar. Welcome back to the Magic City for the Miami Grand Prix. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Stroll, Joe, Albon, Norris, Bottas, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Davidson, Drugovich, Sargent, Drugovic. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So we're on the grid now. We've got a lot of work to do from where we are in P19. There's no penalties that significantly affect us. We don't change much with the strategy. We leave it as is for the Grand Prix. We're going from the soft to the mediums on lap 9. So again, we're not. I'm not too sure, to be honest, where I stand in this race right now. It's going to be a weird one. I thought the car felt good. I just don't know where the pace went, but it just gives us. I suppose it gives us an excuse to try and make up as many positions as I can. Probably get some good racing out of it. Hopefully, I mean, generally the car felt good. I mean, sector 1, the first sector is still a little bit questionable for me. Like I said, I can't really get a good rhythm through that section, but the rest of the lap, I'm pretty well sorted. So it's going to be a case of what we can do in terms of our overall pace, and depending on how the strategy comes into it, it's going to be one of those scenarios where it's going to have to be wait and see. So we're going to line up on the grid now as the last cars form up behind us, the AlphaTauri of De Vries and the Williams of Logan Sargent, as we now go to 5 red lights for the Miami Grand Prix. Round number 5 in this championship. 5 red lights are out and we are underway. Nice gentle start from everyone on the grid. We don't want to get caught up in too many issues. Bottas has had a slow start, and that slows everyone else up ahead of us as he cuts across the front of us. So we dive back to the inside and switch it up, but Bottas, again with Hulkenberg on his inside, forces us out, and that forces us back down into P19 where we started. So there isn't really much we can do now except follow everyone through single file, aside from Sargent, who tries to have a go at our teammate Drugovic, but he manages to hold firm as we come out of the first sector, now onto the back straight, the first of the DRS zones. No DRS, of course, but Piastri is already having a go at Valtteri Bottas, who nearly clips the wall on the outside and swerves across. That allows Piastri to get ahead, and that also allows us to catch up as we now make a dive bomb on not only Bottas, but Piastri as well, as he darts out to try and have a look at Hulkenberg and nearly clips us and wipes us out as well. We get a collision warning from the FIA, but that was very dangerous from the young Australian as he swipes across us, and we're showing our displeasure. We're going to force him across the sausage curb and compromise his momentum as we now head on now to the third DRS zone, the second straight on the Miami GP, and we move up into P18 as well. But that was really dangerous from Oscar Piastri. Meanwhile, up ahead of us, there is a change of the lead. There's Max Verstappen, no DRS here. It's just pure slipstream in ERS. Max Verstappen is going to go down the inside of Charles Leclerc into the hairpin, easy as you like, gently on the power on the exit, and that is Max Verstappen into the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. But it's going to be still a long race to go. It is only that one. Meanwhile, just behind Sergio Perez, it's got Lewis Hamilton for company. Lewis Hamilton is going to go to the outside of turn 1, around the outside of the Mexican. And now Lewis Hamilton is, yes, he's done it. He's up into P3 ahead of Sergio Perez. So Lewis Hamilton, he's obviously got some good pace. And later on in that lap, he's not wasting it. He's already caught Charles Leclerc, again with no DRS, to the outside at the end of the back straight into the slow complex here through this stadium section. And that is Lewis Hamilton up into P2. So Lewis Hamilton has got some really good pace going on in this Grand Prix. So let's see what he can do with it, if he can catch up to Max Verstappen. But for us now, back to our POV. End of lap number 2, further back. We're going to now ease our way down the inside of Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas at the hairpin. Easy does it down on the inside. Little bit of opposite lock correction on acceleration out, but we do manage to get up into P16 ahead of Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas. And now later on in the lap, we have DRS now on lap 3 on this back straight as we catch up after the second Haas of Kevin Magnussen. DRS opens as we now cut to the off-board. We're closing. This is going to be a bit of a dive bomb from us here if we go for it, and we are going to go for it as we lunge down the inside and very nearly collect the back of Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri as Magnussen tries to get the switchback line, but we hang him outside on that corner as we now head through the next part of this stadium section underneath the main interstate going through Miami and onto the second straight now, the second DRS zone, as we now try and do our best to close up to the AlphaTauri and then hopefully the McLaren of Lando Norris just ahead of him. So we're going to follow this now as we follow our Yuki Tsunoda down into the braking zone. We're going to make this very, very late on the Japanese driver in the AlphaTauri, and again just try and get on the power as soon as possible, gently as we can, up through the gears, and that is us up into P14 at the start of lap 4. Bit of an opportunistic move there, but now we catch up to this gaggle of cars here, which is headed by Lance Stroll, who does have car issues. My engineer Mark has been on the radio to say that Lance Stroll does have car issues, and that has backed Ocon, Norris and Guan Yu Zhou into us as well. So all of us here, and the cars that I've just overtaken as well, Tsunoda and Magnussen have followed us through. We are all now fighting for this one final point on the in this race. But like I said, it's only lap 4. We're still got a long ways to go as we follow Guan Yu Zhou now down to the hairpin, and we're not going to make the dive this time. We're just going to follow him through on the exit of the hairpin, try and get on the power as soon as we can, short shift up through second, third and fourth to try and keep the wheel spin under control. And now we're going to have a look at Guan Yu Zhou. This is going to be another late dive from us. We go for it, and nearly a carbon copy. We almost collected Norris again, but we do get that 13th place from the Chinese driver in the Alfa Romeo. Very opportunistic diving, but I feel I've got to make those moves because otherwise that pack of cars, especially Ocon and Norris, are going to get away. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc's race is going from bad to worse. We're coming to the end of lap 4, and now he's being overtaken by his teammate down towards the hairpin now at the end of this second straight, and Carlos Sainz gets him cleanly before they even get to the hairpin. So Leclerc got pole position, but he doesn't seem to have the race pace. Meanwhile, on the following lap in the exact same place, we're still chasing after Norris, Stroll and Ocon. Ocon's gotten ahead of Stroll. We try to have a look down the inside of Lando Norris just to offset him a little bit as we now move on to the home straight now as we go and open DRS as we head down towards turn 1. We're going to make this move again into turn 1, late on the brakes, very, very cleanly this time. No overshooting the corner like we did on the previous time we overtook Zhou, but that is a clean overtake. We are now up into P12, and now we have got the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. Not only has car troubles, but he's also on the hard tyres, so this should be a slam dunk overtake as we come to the end of the back straight in the second DRS zone. On the brakes, down the inside, get the car stopped. Little bit overshot off that corner. Stroll tries to have a look back around the outside of us, but we cover him off, and now we are up into P11. So now we've got to do our best to try and catch up to the Alpine of Esteban Ocon for that final points paying position. We're going to do that on the next lap, lap 7. We try to fake to the left, go to the right. Ocon tries to cover us off. We're going to go round the outside of the Frenchman in the Alpine, round the outside. We're just going to give us the inside for the next corner through the stadium section, and we're going to close off that line and take P10 and we're going to take P10 going through underneath the interstate and onto the second straight. So we have got some good race pace, especially on these soft tyres. The soft tyres actually worked really well in this stint. I'm very happy with that. Now, as we cut to the end of lap number 7, a little bit further up the road, George Russell is now going to make a move on Charles Leclerc. Leclerc is just going backwards in this race. George Russell round the outside of the hairpin. He's going to pick up the traction a lot better than Charles Leclerc, and that is going to be George Russell now up into P4. Now Charles Leclerc's got to worry about the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso directly behind him. And now further on to the end of halfway through lap 9, we are watching Alexander Albon is going to go for a move on the Red Bull of Sergio Perez for what looks to be P6, and he's got it. Alexander Albon has got some great pace. He's overtaken the Red Bull. I don't know if the Red Bull's tyre wear is a little bit worse than the Williams, but that is brilliant from Alexander Albon. He's not holding anything back in this race. As we now head on to end of lap number 9, back to our POV, we're now going to come into the pits for our one and only stop of this afternoon, as we now look to bolt on the medium tyres and try and consolidate this P10, try and score another point in this championship. It's going to be tough because the Alpine and the McLaren behind us are rapid in the hands of Ocon and Norris. But I do believe we got the pace as we pull into the pit lane and get our change of tyres. And there's a problem on the front. No, there's a problem on the front left. The front left is slow to go on. The car's coming past us. We try and pull out the pit lane. And we've lost all the hard work we've made up. We've lost it. We're now back behind Stroll and Magnussen. Down in P20 after the stops. That is not what I needed. We are now third last on the field with De Vries and Bottas directly behind us. And now we've got to make up all that hard work we've done. We've got to make that up all over again as we now head on to the end of the back straight with hopefully DRS off the cars in front. We're not going to waste any time with this. We're going to pull to the outside of both Magnussen and Stroll in the Aston Martin. But Magnussen's going to go to the inside of Stroll, make it 3 wide at the end of the back straight. We both clear the Aston Martin of Stroll. We're now going to hang it round the outside of Magnussen, get the inside for this corner, and as we've done so many times, just ease them out wide and consolidate that line through this tricky section underneath the interstate onto the next straight, and that is us back up into P18. But now we've got coming up to the end of the lap 10 onto lap 11. Cars still in the pit lane, and we're going to go through turn 1, and there is Guan Yu Zhou on the exit of the pit lane. We're going to try and get him as we go around the outside of him through this next section. This is not where I really wanted to try and make the move. I've never been good through this section, and as a result, Zhou gets ahead of us through this section, and now that's just going to allow Ocon and Norris to pull even further away from us. And now we've got to contend with Magnussen as well, who's caught up to us as we now move on to the back straight. As we go down, as we go through the janky replay there, as we fast forward, we now catch up to Zhou. I'm not wasting any time with this move. We are ducking down the inside hard on the brakes as we get it stopped in time, and that gets us back up into P12. At the end of the back straight, and now I've got to try and hope, I can do my best to try and catch up to the Alpine and the McLaren, because I don't know, with my pace through that first sector, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make much headway in this race. But we're going to move on to lap 15. Nothing much has happened, but there is yellow flags ahead of us. There's a car that is there's been an accident up ahead or something, or a car that's got a mechanical problem. It's Ocon. Esteban Ocon is going slowly. He's got a mechanical problem. Oh no, he was fighting Lando Norris for that one last point on the in the race, and now he's pulled off, retired, and that hands us a free position. That's P11. There's confirmation. Esteban Ocon out of the race with a mechanical failure. No engine smoke. That's a technical issue that's forced him to pull up at the side of the track, but no, not looking a gift horse in the mouth. That gives us a free position, but now I've got to try and focus on not only catching up to Lando Norris, but also trying to keep Guan Yu Zhou behind me. And that's easier said than done, because unfortunately, nothing much happens else in this race, as we're going to now skip to the start of the final lap, as George Russell has caught Carlos Sainz for the final podium position. He's going to have a look round the outside into turn 1 as we cut to this awkward camera here. But Carlos Sainz, as you can see, keeps George Russell at bay, but George Russell is on the move. And as we cut to the back straight now, George Russell pulls to the right-hand side. He's going to go round the outside of this corner at the end of the back straight into the tricky section here through the stadium. That's going to give him the inside through here. And as he comes around the corner, he's going to ease Carlos Sainz out wide, take the racing line. And that is George Russell taking the final podium position on the last lap. Brilliant driving from the Merc man. But speaking of brilliant driving, out of the final corners, Max Verstappen is going to come through and he's going to win the Miami Grand Prix. He has broken Charles Leclerc's win streak. Lewis Hamilton will take second place. George Russell will round out the podium. Max Verstappen has finally managed to get back on track in this championship. He's broken Charles Leclerc's winning streak in this series. Charles Leclerc is still going to lead the championship by a healthy margin, but now Max Verstappen is going to hopefully carry this momentum through into the next few races. As us ourselves, we couldn't do much about Lando Norris. We had to focus on defending from Guan Yu Zhou. But P11 from P19, bittersweet really. We did have some great racing there, but that pit stop error really cost us. We could have had more points in this race. Driver of the day, little consolation, but yeah, mixed feelings about that one.
Here we are then, a phenomenal Miami Grand Prix, and what a great show of skill from our race winners today. were able to deliver such an incredible result today.
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
And there you have it, guys. Confirmation for Verstappen, Hamilton and Russell the podium. Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc from pole position, finishing in 6th. Sergio Perez, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon and Lando Norris rounding out the top 10, with ourselves just missing out in P11. Really good race from several guys out there, but as we go into the driver's standing, it's real close between all the midfield. Even Alexander Albon's getting in on the mix. We're still P10 in the championship. We're now 1 point behind Lando Norris. He scored that point that breaks the deadlock on our championship battle. But we are, as you can see with the standings in the constructors, it's still really close between all the midfield teams. Alpine getting a little bit of a gap ahead of us, but that can easily change in the next couple of races going over the course of this season. But with everything in that race, that pit stop is just one of those things. But it's really annoying knowing that I could have had more points on the board. But for now, though, guys, if you did enjoy this episode, do feel free to leave a like and share this video around. It really helps. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these other videos. I'm David Clayton from KZR Racing, and we will see you next time for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Goodbye.